I go straight from the bank, gassing up the tank, cranking up the radio, playing old Hank. It ain't that long till I'm back at the pond.
So everybody loves fishing. Don't say you don't, you do. But you hadn't really been fishing till you've been fishing with Uncle Tony. Hi, I'm Bill Garner. This is the Empty Nest Bar and Grill. We're talking about my novel, Me, Boo, and the Goob, and a fishing trip with Uncle Tony. Get ready to remember what it's like to be a kid.
I'm pulling up the truck down at the dock. It's time to do some cruising, baby. Get a little stuck. It's a Saturday.
So the boys have had to go down to Clarksdale, Mississippi, and Uncle has died. There's going to be a funeral. And it's decided that while the whole family's together, they're going to have a fish fry and try to have a family reunion. Family reunions in the Garner family don't usually go very well. I suspect because alcohol is involved. Anyway, they set out to have a family reunion. They're going to have a fish fry. If you're going to have a fish fry, you got to go get some fish. Okay, in the book, the boys go fishing with Uncle Tony, and they learned a real handy life lesson and fishing tip. Get ready to have a little fun here. In a few minutes, I'll come back and I'll tell you the other end of the story. I'll tell you the true story about Uncle Tony's fishing tips. Alrighty, see you then.
Mercy Feast is the spot to take the blues away. We're on a boat, we're feeling fine.
We drove down to one of the Oxbow Lakes. And Oxbow Lake is a lake that used to be part of the Mississippi River till the river changed course. They're always shaped like a capital U. We unloaded the boat from the truck and loaded it with some ice boxes, some beer, a couple of boxes of crap, and some bricks. Yep, we were taking old bricks fishing. Still didn't see any fishing poles, so I wasn't sure how in the hell we were going to catch any fish. We motored out from the landing and went to a piece of the lake about a mile or two away from where we'd left the truck. Uncle Tony stopped the boat and went to work. He hollered at the Goob and told him to reach into one of the boxes of crap and find some plastic bags. The Goob dug around and found a bunch of plastic bags like what they put on newspapers on rainy days. Goob handed one to Uncle Tony, who picked up a brick and put it in the bag. Then he reached inside his jacket and produced a stick of dynamite with a fuse about 2 feet long. He put that in the bag with the brick. "Boy," he said, looking at me, "find me a piece of wire." I rooted around in the toolbox and found a piece of wire, and I passed it to the Goob, who passed it to Uncle Tony. He used the wire to close off the plastic bag so that only the fuse was sticking out. Uncle Tony handed the bag with the brick and the dynamite to the Goob, who handed it to me. "Okay," started Uncle Tony, "here's how this works. You're going to light the fuse and very carefully lower the bag into the water and then turn loose of it. Don't throw it. Just drop it gently into the water. Got it?" I got to light the fuse?" I asked. I wasn't real wild about this plan so far. "Yeah, you got to light the damn fuse, boy," he said. I looked at him. Then I looked at the dynamite. I looked at him again. I said, this really doesn't sound like a good idea to me." "Damn it, boy, just do it," he said with more than just a little irritation. "Won't it blow us up?" I asked. "Hell no, boy. What the hell is wrong with you? Once you get the fuse lit, just drop the dynamite. I'll motor us out of the way. We may get splashed a little, but that's all," Uncle Tony said. I was still more than a little concerned. If we had Walt with us, or better yet, Walt's dad, I wouldn't be worried. But we had Uncle Tony with us, and he had a kind of crazy I really wasn't used to dealing with. "Just light the damn fuse, boy." So I took out my Zippo lighter, and I got on my knees in the front bench of the boat. I held the plastic bag with the dynamite between my knees while I fought with the lighter to get it to light. The wind was blowing, so I had to shield the lighter with one hand and work the sparky thing with the other, and then try to get the flame to the fuse. It took a couple of seconds of holding the fuse in the flame of the lighter to get the fuse to light, but once it lit, it really lit. Uncle Tony could have warned me that the fuse would throw sparks out like a sparkler. I wasn't expecting it to spew sparks like that, so it startled me real bad when it did. I leaned way back to get away from the sparks, and I lost my balance, and I fell backwards into the bottom of the boat and up against the middle seat where the goob was sitting. Somehow I lost the sack with the brick and the dynamite when I fell backwards, and that was underneath me or underneath some of the crap in the boat. Everyone could hear the fuse burning, but I couldn't find the damn dynamite. While I was rolling around trying to get the plastic bag with the dynamite, the goob was losing his mind. He jumped to the back of the boat with Uncle Tony, and with that much weight in the back of the boat, the front of the boat tilted up, and me and the dynamite slid against the middle bench in the boat. I was on my back in a real awkward position, so it was real hard to get up. Uncle Tony was cussing at me and telling me to get rid of the dynamite, and then he hollered at the goob to get back in his seat, but I knew there was no way Goob was going to get back in his seat by the dynamite. Finally, I got a hold of the sack. I crawled back up to the front of the boat. I reached over the end of the boat to lower it in the water. There were only about 8 inches of fuse left. Because the Goob and Uncle Tony were both in the very back of the boat, the front end was tilted up. It was tilted up so far that I couldn't reach the water to lower the bag in. The fuse was really getting short. I had to drop the bag in. It fell with a plop into the water and disappeared. And then, for no good reason, the dynamite floated back up with only about 3 inches of fuse left. Holy shit. I hollered at Uncle Tony and told him the dynamite had floated up, and he cussed, and he pulled the starter cord on the motor, and the motor fluttered and died. Oh shit. Uncle Tony wrapped the starter cord around the motor again and pulled again. The motor fluttered and died. Oh shit. I moved to the back of the boat with Uncle Tony and the goob. The front of the boat came even further out of the water. Uncle Tony was wrapping the starter cord around the motor again when the dynamite went off. Dynamite is really, really loud, and when it goes off under the front of the metal boat you're in, it jars your whole body like when you hit a baseball really hard with a cracked bat. Water shoots up about a mile in the air, and everything is drenched. It's a lot of water that goes up because it takes a long time for all that water to quit coming down. Uncle Tony was not happy. He was moving his lips a lot, but I couldn't hear him very well. I looked at the goob. He said something too, but I couldn't hear him either. I turned and looked at the front of the boat. It looked like it had been hit by a bolt of lightning. The bow was all jagged metal, and the front bench where I had been riding was completely gone. It was a good thing we were all in the back of the boat, because the front of the boat was up in the air, and if we hadn't had it up in the air like that, the boat would have sunk, because the front end really wasn't much of a boat anymore. The goob turned and said something to me, but I couldn't hear him. The dynamite had made everyone's ears ring so bad we couldn't hear each other. Uncle Tony pulled the cord one more time. The motor purred. No one said a word as we motored slowly across the lake, with the bow of the boat high out of the water. I guess if there's anything to be learned from this, it's this. When you're fishing with dynamite, always start the motor before you light the fuse.
Tennessee whiskey, a big blue sky, we're going up, we're coming down. There's a party on the water.
So everybody always wants to know the origin of the story about fishing with dynamite. Well, here it is. My brother-in-law, Tony, his family has always been in construction, doing real estate development and whatnot. His father used to buy tracts of land, usually old farms, and build neighborhoods on them. Each of these old farms had a stock pond on there, and in that stock pond was a bunch of fish. And so standard practice was to go out there and dynamite the fish so you could have a fish fry. That way the fish didn't go to waste when you drain the pond. They'd have fish fries for Arkansas State's football team, for the Jonesboro High School football team. It was a lot of fun. So years ago, about 20 years ago, when Tony's father died, Tony asked a friend of his named John, he's an attorney down in Little Rock, to eulogize his father. And John recalled an event from their childhood when they were charged with dynamite in a pond. And it seems that they had gone out there and motored out to the middle of the pond with this, you're in a little 12-foot John boat. And you put the dynamite in the sack with the brick, and you secure it with a piece of wire, and then you light the fuse, you drop it overboard. And it seems on this one particular occasion, the dynamite came floating back up, and Tony just had a conniption fit. And John was back there trying to start the motor. Well, John tells the story at Guy's funeral, and ends it with this. And this should be inscribed in stone somewhere. I learned this lesson so well didn't even have to write it down. When you're fishing with dynamite, always, always, always start the motor before you light the fuse. I'm Bill Garner. This is the Empty Nest Bar and Grill. Y'all get my book. You know where you can get it. Talk to you next time. See ya.
With a bottle of wine, we're going up, we're coming down. Cheers to feeling alright, it's a hell of a time. A hell of a time. Yeah, we're chilling out here, ladies in the rear, our feet in the water, our top disappears, drinking Malibu